President Trump meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House twice in 2 days as the fragile ceasefire between Iran and Israel continues to hold. But Republican Senator Steve Daines believes that regime change is the best long-term solution in Iran. Senator Daines of Montana joins us now. Senator, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. So this idea, a lot of people are talking about this, but it brings up two very important questions. The first question is, how do you topple the existing regime in Iran? And then maybe even more importantly than that, what comes next to fill the void?
It's a great question, John. I want to remind you, I was the last U.S. Senator to meet with Bibi Netanyahu prior to the October 7th, 2023 horrible terror attack by Hamas. Think about what's happened in 21 months since that dark, dark day in Israel. Now there's optimism thanks to the bold leadership of Prime Minister Netanyahu, who I'll be visiting with here in the next half hour. He's coming up here to Capitol Hill. They dismantled Hamas, dismantled Hezbollah, dismantled the Houthis, and then have complete control of Iranian airspace as we speak. And again, thanks to the decisive leadership of President Trump, that amazing B-2 strike, dismantling the Iranian nuclear capabilities. So that brings us to a moment to look at possible regime change. I think it's important because you cannot deal with a regime that daily talks about death to America, wants to see Israel and America wiped off the map. There's got to be change. This needs to be driven by the Iranian people. This is not about a combat operation from the United States. This is about the Iranian people who, by the way, want to see a regime change. So how do we get there? The sanctions, additional sanctions announced today by our great Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, tightening the workarounds where the Quds Force is selling oil to offshore countries. We've got to tighten the noose around the Iranian economy, and that will be a key way here to destabilize the regime and to see a new regime come into place.
So the president has gone back and forth on this a little bit. Back on June the 22nd, he posted on Truth Social the following: "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be regime change? Make Iran great again." 2 days later, the president said this. Listen here.
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, there was. But no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos, and ideally we don't want to see so much chaos, so we'll see how it does.
I think that the president is still very keenly aware of what happened in the early 2000s when George Bush got into the regime change game in Iraq and how that turned out for America and American forces. And I don't think the president wants to see that. So if there is any sort of revolution, if you will, that begins in Iran, it's got to be something organic. There is a couple of outside groups, the Reza Pahlavi group, and as well the MEK, or the NCRI as it's now called. But other than that, there doesn't seem to be much bubbling up in Iran itself.
Well, look, the only reason we're having this conversation, again, what a different conversation we're having right now than what was occurring 21 months ago when Hamas attacked Israel, when Israel was fearing not only Hamas, but also attack from the north from Lebanon with Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Iranians joining forces. Now, 21 months later, thanks to peace through strength, through Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump's resolve and strength, we're at a point now with these sanctions where there could be a change in the Iranian government. Look, when you have an Iranian government that wakes up every day and says death to America, destroy Israel, destroy America, better is possible. That'll be up to the Iranian people. And I'm confident at some point this regime is going to topple, be replaced by something that can work with Israel and work with the United States.
Well, I think a lot of people would look forward to the way that that might change the entire face of the Middle East, but we'll see if it's possible. Senator, thanks for joining.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.